Now we left off creating our base materials, and we're going to spend the majority of this module creating masks between each of them. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and just create some folders for our materials. I'll first enable the paint material here. Now to create a folder in the layer palette, go up and click the Add Folder button. This is going to create a folder in the layer palette, and we can simply drag and drop our paint and iron rough fill layers into it. I'm going to go ahead and just name this folder Base Paints. Substance Painter has multiple ways to assign materials to parts of the mesh via masks. The first and easiest way is using the color ID map, which we baked out in our first module. To use this to assign materials, we can add a mask with selection. All your masking options are located right here in the layer palette called Configure Mask. I will add mask with color selection. This is going to allow us to mask this particular folder to a corresponding color. We can assign this material to a color by using the pick color icon here, and this is what we get. If you remember correctly, these were baked out using the Polypaint in ZBrush on our high poly mesh. I will assign this base paints to the yellow portions of the mesh. Now we don't see any change of yet. That's because our glossy paint is still above our base paints layer. I'll go ahead and enable that layer, and let's do the same thing and place it into a folder. So I'll create a folder and drag that layer in here. I'll name this glossy paint. Again, I will create a mask by color selection, but this time I'll select the color blue. So what did we just create? Well, we created a black and white mask on each of the folders. You can preview it right over here, where white means the layer is visible and black is not visible. Now these masks in the layer palette are a little bit difficult to see, so what you can do is click on the mask, hold Alt, and then click on the mask again, and that will give you a preview of the mask on your mesh. You can see that my paints are applied to these white sections of the mesh. Now if I hold Alt and click on the glossy paint mask, I can see that that material is assigned to these white portions of the mesh. Note the blue highlight around the mask. This means that you're on the mask selection. Now just be mindful to switch back to your fill layers when you're done editing your masks. Luckily, we had a color ID map to assign our materials to. Now there may be some situations where you don't have one or your baked ID map is just simply not working for you. So in the next lesson, we'll cover a different way of creating masks, and that's by using paint.